Hi guys, Shelly here with the Gray Wren Nest. I'm in Ohio, Zone 6B, and it is the second week of August already. Can you believe it? School's going to start here in a little bit, but for this retired educator, for the first time in I don't know how long, I am not counting down the days. Every day is a Saturday for me, which gives me the opportunity to produce content for you. So I hope you're enjoying it. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll be back with more content. For now, follow me around my garden, and I'm sure it'll be a delight. So first I'm going to start right here on the corner of my house. I consider this my show-stopping corner. It is my vanilla strawberry hydrangea standard. Just take a look at this beauty. It's about 5 years old, and underneath it is autumn joy sedum. This is just so beautiful, especially in the fall when that autumn joy sedum turns this beautifully rich autumn color, more like a rusty pink color. It is just wow. So I hope you come back to look for that. That'll probably be more like my September video. But for now, for August, this is what you're getting. And let's get a close-up of these beautiful blooms. Look at this. Look at how big it is. That's not even the biggest one. Let's see if I can find a bigger one. Give you an idea. Now, if you have a vanilla strawberry hydrangea tree, or even any other variety, and yours is turning brown, I can just about guess the reason it's turning brown is not because it's getting too much sun if it's a panicle, it's because it's not getting enough water. These are water-hungry plants. In the midsummer like this, late summer when it's in the 80s and 90s degrees here in Ohio, more like towards the 90s, I'll water this up to 3 times a day. But this is what it produces for me. I mean, can you get any prettier than that? Look at that. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. This shows you the size. I hope I focused in there for you. And then there's even bigger ones all the way up at the top. Here's a really big one up here. You can see my hand compared to it. Now, one thing that I have started doing a little differently this year than I've done in the past, and it seems to be paying off. A lot of you hydrangea lovers out there are, and this used to be me, using fertilizer, the granular fertilizer, like late March and once in July, like rose tone or plant tone or any of the holly tones. I did do that. I did rose tone in March, but since then I have used Proven Winners water-soluble plant food, and they're loving it. I mean, just look at this. Isn't it gorgeous? Oh, so pretty. And I'm using it on all of my hydrangeas. You can see they're all very happy. So once a week, I have been using water-soluble Proven Winners plant food through a hose, and I can honestly say that they are happy. Now, as far as my drip system goes, I do have drip on all of my plants. In the beginning of the year, beginning of the season, I will put my drip system 20 minutes a day in the early morning on all of my plants here. And it runs for about 20 minutes. And then in the midsummer, I usually do twice a day, 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening on drip. And then in the coming towards August and September when it's just ungodly hot, I mean, just wow, like in the 90s and sometimes hundreds. Then I will do 3 times a day, and my leaves will weep. And if you see your leaves weeping, it's telling you, I'm thirsty. So don't forget that you have to water them when their leaves droop. Here's an example of my watering system. I have it hooked up to a timer. I used to have the Wi-Fi timer, but since we do not have a generator, if our electricity goes out during a bad storm, then everything reset itself and my Wi-Fi would shut down, and I can't depend on that if I was going on vacation. So I'm just doing it the old-fashioned way with a battery backup here and manually, and I'm much happier, less stressed than the Wi-Fi system. But you can see that I have a 1/2-inch leader. This 1/2-inch hose goes all the way around the perimeter of my house. Some of it's underneath the mulch and some of it sits on top if it's back against the house where you can't see it. And then I have leaders like this. This is a 1/4-inch leader that goes into my plants. You can't really see it because my plants are covering it, but that leader will go in, and then I'll have this leader is then hooked up to another leader that has holes every 6 inches. See this hole right here? There's a hole. I don't know if I'm focusing in on that. Anyway, where it's a little thicker, that's a hole. And it will drip water for 20 minutes. And it's not a steady stream, it's just a nice gentle drip. And that's how I water. And this hose, like I said, this pipe goes all the way around the house, and then a leader out to each plant. And then each plant is surrounded by the extra 1/4-inch that has holes every 6 inches for the water to drip. Making my way around the front of the house, just look at this. I'll share about each of these in a second. These are my little Hottie hydrangeas around the front of the house. And what I love most about my little Hotties is that they do not brown. I did have one season where they had a slight brown tinge, and all I had to do was start adding extra water and it stopped it. So once again, I think it depends on if you're really babying them with a lot of water. So if you have little Hotties and they are turning brown and they're in full sun, that's your problem, I swear. You just need to make sure you're babying them. And see how these leaves are perky? See, they're nice and solid and perky. They're not drooping down. Look, I even have a new bloom right here. Now, if these leaves were drooping down, which I might see on the other side of the house, I might give a chance to show you that. That is due to the fact that it's starving for water. And I just need to do some extra watering during the day. But little Hotties for the win. These are about 4 years old. This rose bush here, I have several that go across the front. You have to excuse me, I need to do some weeding, but haven't had a chance to get out and weed yet. So excuse me for that. But these little rose bushes bloom all summer. They bloom their heads off. This is salsa mango, Proven Winners, similar to a drift rose, but they're Proven Winners salsa mango roses. My Japanese maple is holding its own. Here's my leaves, and it's really maintaining its color nicely. I got some browning, but nothing like I've had in years past. In years past, I mean, they'd be crispy brown by now. So I truly believe it's because I opened up that base. You can see where it's darker down there. The mulch was actually getting way too high around the base, and I really think that was the culprit. And look, I even have a new shoot up there. But it is just beautiful where it's at. So this is one of the flower pots that I'm really proud of. This is one Supertunia Vista silverberry plant planted in the center. Yes, that's right, one plant. And then I have one, now this is an off-brand verbena, but I couldn't resist the color of it. Isn't that pretty? And I think it's mixed and matched nicely. They've played nicely together. So I might repeat this one. I really like the combination. But that's an off-brand verbena and Supertunia Vista silverberry. These are my self-watering pots. For those of you who are interested in how I make them, please check out my video on how to make these. They're in ceramic pots. And I love these. I have such success every season. In the self-watering pots, I water once a week, and I water right down this tube. Can you see it? I water down that tube, and I wait till it bubbles out of the drain hole in the bottom. And I feed it once a week with water-soluble fertilizer, Proven Winners water-soluble fertilizer. Actually, it's called plant food, not fertilizer. And then I also use Bare 3-in-1 to keep away the disease and mites and the pests. I think it's called Bare BioGuard. It's in a blue bottle, and I run it through my hose. My Rose of Sharon hibiscus tree, or bush I should call it, it's really a bush, is still blooming its head off, still have lots of buds to go. And here's a picture of it in full bloom just a few weeks ago. Loving it, and underneath it, isn't that beautiful? Easy Elegance Calypso Rose. I have several of them in this flower bed. I have 3 here. 2 here. Those are drift roses. Those are peach drift roses. And then I have 2 more over here. Or excuse me, 3 more over here. And then for inquiring minds that want to know, do you remember when I cut down my vine here? My Clematis? I think people just about had a fit. And I'm here to say, don't. Trim it down. Don't let all those ugly brown vines bring you down after it blooms, because look what's happened. Let me get on this side. Look at that. I think it was about this time last month that I cut it down. And ta-da! It's going to bloom again. Look how healthy. And I will put pictures, I'll insert pictures here, because really, you think you're gonna kill it. At least I thought, every time I cut it down, I'm thinking, oh, this might be the last season for this one, because I'm sure I cut it way too short. But I will share with you what I did. Here it shows it about 6 inches above the ground, and about 2 weeks after I cut it down, it was just the twigs, and this is the new blooming cycle of it. And I also use water-soluble plant food on this one as well. Once a week. And for those of you who have been following me, do you remember when I thought this was a done deal because my water system broke? Look at it now. I didn't give up on it. I water these the exact same way I water all my other ones with the drip system. Stunning. This is Proven Winner Vista Whites. Love, love, love. And this contraption here is a sound system to keep these cute, cute little fawns out of my plants. Working my way around to the south side of my house, take a look at this. Oh my goodness, guys. Isn't this just lovely? This is Supertunia Vista Paradise again, and they are grown in GardenSoxx. You can kind of peek down here and you can see the socks. And I have it sitting on rock. And then if you peek a little bit deeper inside, you can see my watering system. That's the 1/4-inch tube with holes every 6 inches. And it gets watered just like every other plant does. Either once a day, twice a day, or 3 times a day, depending on the weather. And then take a look at these. These are little lime punches. I'd say these are maybe 3 years old. That one had a section that broke off last year, so it's having a little harder time recouping that branch there, but still, nonetheless, doesn't get any prettier than that. Let's take a close-up. Look at that pink. Now you're probably saying, well, how is that different from your vanilla strawberry? If you go back through the video, you'll notice the vanilla strawberry still has white tips, whereas this one is turning pink all over, and then pretty soon it will be more of a punchy color. That's where it gets its name, Little Lime Punch. So this is the beginning of its turning phase. And once again in September when I come back, I'll show you the beautiful fall colors. Does it get any prettier than this? I'm gonna back up, and it goes around the side of my house. This is the west side, and you'll notice that they're in bright sunlight starting about 2 o'clock. These hydrangeas get tons and tons of heat and sunlight, and look how gorgeous they are. Once again, I firmly believe it is the watering that I do. It keeps them nice and hydrated. And yes, I am coming in with these as well, with the water-soluble fertilizer every week. Just stunning. Now I do have links to these in the description box below, and I also have links to the GardenSoxx. If you're interested, I've done a complete video on these GardenSoxx to tell you where to get them, how much. This is my 2nd year using them, but I show you how I fill them and everything. So take a look at that video. You won't be disappointed if you give it a try. Let's take a look at these little hotties up close. Do you see what I mean? So if you are looking for a hydrangea that doesn't brown with proper watering, is full, I mean, this is just massive and dense. And look how beautiful the leaf structure is. I thought maybe they'd be drooping. They're starting to droop a little, look. See how they're kind of going down, facing downwards? That means they're getting a little bit thirsty. Here, you can see it over here. See how those leaves are drooping down? So right now it's telling me, I'm getting thirsty. But look at this. These stay white until late summer, early fall. And I anticipate probably in the next, maybe even 3 weeks, I might get 3 more weeks of whiteness out of them. I think that's why I love them so much, because these stay beautifully white most of the summer. I just can't get over them. So First Editions, you knocked this out of the park. So since I noticed that my leaves were getting a little droopy there, I came over here and I turned on my timer for 20 minutes. So it'll drip for 20 minutes midday. And you can see under there, see that brown tubing and the black tubing? I've added tubing as these get bigger over time. I think that's another thing you have to keep in mind, that as your hydrangeas grow from season to season, just because you had down tubing last year may not be enough for this year. You might have to add more. Or your tubing might get clogged. So if you notice your hydrangeas starving for water more more than they should, or they're starting to brown and you just can't figure out why, maybe your tubing's clogged. So take a look at that. And you know, there's always different reasons why they might be turning brown. But these are truly winners in my book. And you'll notice, see these little machines that I have right there too? Trying to keep the rabbit away. I have a rabbit in my yard today, as a matter of fact, but you don't see him nibbling on my flowers. He's staying away. Over here under my bay window, guys, these are just stunning, stunning roses. I know I keep saying stunning all the time. I gotta break that habit, but you know, when you have something that you truly love, it's just hard to describe it any other way. But look at these. They're non-stop bloomers, and all of these new purple leaves, those purple leaves will be producing little buds. And pretty soon that will be blooming again. So these go through cycles. So right now we're just getting ready to go into the phase of another huge bloom cycle. And when in between bloom cycles, we get the sporadic flowers like you see here. And I do go in, once they turn this color here, that's when I'll trim them back. And sometimes if I'm a little late in trimming them back, I'll already see some purple leaves produced down further on the stem. So when I do deadhead it, I only deadhead it back to the new growth. Now I treat my knockout roses the same way. Let's see if I can get down in here. You'll notice back there is my 1/2-inch piping that runs along the house. My 1/4-inch tubing that goes out to each rose plant. Right here, can you see that water dripping out? So it's just a steady drip. So this is the west side of my house, and this is the west north. So I'm working my way around to the back. This gets a little bit less sun than this area over here. And these are Limelight Primes. And I'd say maybe, I'm guessing 4 years old. And oh wow, they are just so, so pretty. These are 3 individual plants on drip. Look. Isn't that beautiful? I love watching them sway in the wind. Now, that's just a tiny breeze that we have going on right now. Can you imagine in a storm? This is what I call my bowling alley storm area, because it barrels through here like a bowling ball. And these are nice and tall and beautiful and not beat down. Limelight Primes. These will also get a beautiful dusty rose later on in the season, but they are starting to turn before my little hotties. So really, they're all different in their own way. I know to maybe a new person they all look the same, but they're really not. They all have their unique characteristics. So we have the luxury of walking around our pond, and as people come up along the house in our backyard, this is what they see. Pure gorgeousness. I'm gonna take you in, draw you in as if you were walking next to me, coming to look at my flowers. This is just heaven. Up at the top, I have ferns. These Hydrangea standards are ones that I got at Menards, and they are non-brand names. third season. Just gorgeous. Now the pots behind them, back here, those are on self-watering pots. And believe it or not, they have hostas in the center. The hostas used to be the showcase of at the beginning of this summer, and tiny little potato vines. But now the potato vines are taking over, and you can't even tell there's hosta in the center. But it's nice and healthy and beautiful. So let me back up and focus in on these gorgeous hydrangeas. I just really, really love it. Now, one of my viewers said, I think it's a strawberry vanilla, Shelly. And you know, I'm not so sure about that, guys, because it's not turning yet. I still think it looks and reminds me much more of a Limelight, an off-brand Limelight. And finally, my Supertunia Vista Paradise are showing their true colors and their growth habit, and they are loving it. But I think we had to get past our dreary start to the summer. Wow, we had, and sometimes still do, just awful weather for this summer. It's been chilly, it's been wet, rainy, storm after storm after storm. And they just didn't like it, but finally they're showing off. And they are also on drip, just like the rest of my plants, and I'll show you that drip system here in a second. So I mentioned that these are self-watering. All those pots back there are self-watering. But if you look up here, do you see that white tube? See that white tube? I bet you didn't notice until I pointed it out. At first I wasn't too crazy about having a white tube there, because I thought, who wants to see a white tube? But when you don't have to water all the time, it's like, hallelujah, put the white tube there. I don't care. Now we're unique in the way that since we have a walkout basement, right there in this corner is where the pipe continues to run in the back. So this is my first level that I've been showing you where the pipe is on the ground, and then now it's actually at the top. Kind of droops a little when it gets warm. That's okay with me. And it just goes there, and then it comes along here. You can see it right there. You can see it right there, and it goes up, and then it goes down along the ridge of the brown area of my upper balcony, and that's where the white taps into it. And the white is solid, half-gallon emitter on the end of it, and it just drips into the plant daily. There's the pipe again. So it teed off of here and went up under right there from my upper balcony. Come back down this way, and it's teeing under here now, underneath, so that I can tap into it with that white. See the white piece right here? See that white piece? That is coming down, 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 all the way down and into the pot. And then in the pot, I have my black tubing, and that black tubing creates a circle. You can even see the hole right there, and that emits water every 6 inches of the hole. But look how healthy these are. So pretty. So let me back up one more time. So I have this on drip, this one on drip, that one on drip, and that one. Now here is another thing. Do you notice anything different about these in the center? Bet you can't right now, other than that they're a different hydrangea. But these hydrangeas would droop down to the ground with storms, and let me tell you, we've had major storms this year, big storms, and they're still upright and beautiful. And my secret is, and I know some of you already know this because you've been following me, but my secret is ta-da! I put in a frog, a cage-like system made out of plastic fencing before they start blooming for the season, and I have a full video on that. So if you have problem with drooping flowers, take a look at my video. It's well worth it, trust me. I'm glad I did it. Now I think my next biggest thing that I have to figure out, which I know I've shared before, but it's worth repeating. If you want to see how I winterize these this year, I don't know if I'll do it late September or early October, probably more like October. But I used to be able to, before I transplanted these into the barrels, I used to be able to move them clear over to that wall, clear over to the other side, and the natural rain and sunlight would get them all winter. I forgot about them throughout the winter, didn't even think about them twice. And they would do fine. However, I cannot move these anymore. They're too big, too heavy, and I'm glad they're too big and too heavy because they no longer tip over in the big storms. Well worth the investment of getting those half whiskey wine barrels and the mini pond liners to fit inside the barrels to help prevent wood rot. These don't budge, guys. So I'm going to need to figure out a way to winterize them. If you've winterized hydrangeas over the winter out in the open like this, please drop your comments below. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to learn tips and tricks from you. Other than that, I'm going to go out there and do a little research on my own and bring some research to you guys, and I'll share what my new tips and tricks might be. And then hopefully you follow me next spring to see if my tips and tricks of overwintering them here out in the open actually worked. But they are so, so pretty. And then that brings me over here to my east side, going up the side of the house. You can see I like to mirror things on each side and keep it even. I'm all about being even. These are my little bobos. They get mainly morning sun. They're loving life. And before I close my video, I'm taking you on a little tour of my back patio that's screened in. Look at these beautiful succulents. And my lovely water fountain that I listen to. I do have a video on how I made this. Now this is my first year that I've had trouble with bubbles forming. So I'm not quite sure why, but I have a feeling it's because I put in too much algicide, and it bubbled up, and I haven't been able to get rid of the bubbles since. So I think next year I'm going to not put in algicide and see how it goes so that I don't have those bubbles. But but it's so relaxing to sit out here and listen to the fountain, bubbles and all. But if you have any tips and tricks on how not to have those bubbles, or maybe validate why I think I have them, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And let's take a look at my back patio. Isn't that pretty? And look at my borrowed view from my neighbor's house. Just gorgeous. I feel like I live on a resort, guys. I am blessed every single day, and my neighbors are fabulous. So this is the end of my tour. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell below. And I hope to see you in my next video.